Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts Podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. I am your host, Drew. Take my hand and let's walk this journey together. Welcome, everyone, back for another episode. And it's co-starring my annoying air compressor in the background. Well, it's not an air compressor. It's an AC unit. It's a luxury. It's nice, but it's annoying because it makes a lot of noise. So if you hear that in the background, I'm going to do my best to dumb that down a little bit, but please be patient with me on finding another solution for my audio recording. Okay, now, back to the topic. What are we talking about today? When is it okay to be selfish? Ooh, okay to be selfish? How dare you? It's never okay to be selfish. You're taught to share. You're taught to share everything. Should never give more than you can. Wait, what? Yes, you should never give more than you can. Always give what you can give from your heart. And if it's more than that, if it's too much, then you should stop. Andrew, you sound like an asshole. Yeah, I do. A little bit. But sometimes in life, you have to pull back. But when is that possible? Well, selfish doesn't necessarily mean, listen, I will give you the shirt off my back. You can have half of my food or whatever. I'd rather see you have a full stomach than me. I am fine with all those scenarios. I am not a greedy person. I will give you my last dollar. I'm like that. But there are times in life where you're called upon to give more than you can in scenarios. Now, when is a possible time that you could just set everything aside and do this, right? Well, life doesn't happen when you want it to. It happens when it happens. Right? It's just how it is, right? A scenario gets thrown on your lap and you're like, oh shit, I have a real predicament here and it's making everything else kind of go on the back burner. And well, like, what's an example of that? Well, how about when somebody gets sick, a loved one, a friend, or is in dire need of something, and it's not convenient? What if your friend's on the street and you're married with kids? Now your friend needs a place to stay, to get back on his feet. Now that's going to offset. Maybe you don't have the space in your house. Maybe all you have is a couch. Now that person's coming off the street to live with you. There's a best friend, somebody you love and care about. Well, logic says no. Logic says, well, in life, you created the scenario that you're in and bad stuff happens to you, but it is utmost your responsibility to get back up and keep going at it and figure it out. Now, yes, in the animal kingdom, you're left to your own devices and that's it. But we've evolved since then and we have moral values. We've been raised differently than then. And man, we could debate that all day. But in reality, you might say, no, I'm going to help my friend. So you take your friend in your house and he lives with you. And maybe you fight with your wife, or maybe you fight with your husband, or maybe you fight with whoever you're with, or whatever. It cramps your style, maybe. Maybe it cramps the person that's living in your house style. Maybe your roommates. For how long is it okay to put somebody up before you start having expectations of them? Well, they're homeless. Well, yes, they are. But when you put them in your house and you feed them and you get them to get back on track, well, you have expectations of that. Do you set the precedent right away? Or you just assume and then get mad when 7 months, 8 months, a year later, and you still have this person in your house not doing anything? What do you do then? Do you confront them now? Now, whose burden is it now? Whose burden is it? Well, I would say this is the scenario and this is how you should handle it. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people go on the street or bad stuff happens to people. You got to set a precedent right away. You got to say, hey, listen, expectations right off the bat. What happened? I'm sorry that happened. All right, let's figure out a way to get around this, right? How are we going to fix this scenario? How long do you need? What can I do for you? You know, what are you planning on doing? These are all real questions. If somebody just saved you, now it's you coming off the street should have a plan of attack. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be here for long. I'm going to do my best. Now, listen, You should be, that's your job now, to get yourself back on track. 7 months pass now, and you say, hey, listen, bro, it's been 7 months, and you're making money, but you're not saving it. You're not contributing at all. You're not doing anything. And now you're freeloading. It's a whole different scenario now. You can have that conversation. It doesn't make you an asshole. It doesn't make you a bad person for saying those things, because you set the expectations up front. In the end of the day, we're all trying to get somewhere in life. But if you're not trying and you're getting handouts and you're okay with getting handouts, that's fine. But don't take my kindness for stupidity. I'm letting you in because I love you and I care about you. But now the burden is on you. The burden is on you to make it out of my house and back on your own 2 feet, so you could thrive and help others maybe. See, the scenarios get very tricky. And people get really butthurt when you really that person was like going through. Listen, we all go through stuff in our lives. Who's going to help you when you're going through stuff? Now you're burdened because maybe you're taking care of an extra mouth to feed, and you're doing that and you're taking it upon yourself. But at a certain point, that person also has to pick up the slack too, because you're getting them back, you're pulling them back up. So now they have to do whatever they can to get themselves back up and back in shape. But if you don't say these things, you don't set any precedent, the burden should still be on them because they are your friend and they care about you. But at the same time, you as the helper and not setting the precedent, you're setting yourself up for a situation. I'm not saying everybody's friendships are like that, but we really have to be honest with ourselves here, and we have to be honest with the people we're around, because you can't suffer in silence about it, right? Now I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. That's just one example. What if, your parents are getting older, they're not getting any younger, and maybe they're a lot younger. Oh, my phone fell. Stupid phone. Anyways, so your family or your whoever is in your life is a parental figure or unit, if you have parents left in life, and they're not getting any younger. And maybe one passed away before the other, and they don't have each other, and they're getting older, or maybe something happens to them, and you have to take care of them, right? Because those are your parents, and they helped raise you, right? Logic goes, no, they brought you into this world. They have to figure it out on their own. That's logic, okay? But that's very cut and dry, and it's pretty harsh, right? But that's not how it works. You love your parents, you want to see best for them, and they become like your kids at a certain point. So you want to help them and be there for them. But once again, maybe you're married, or maybe you have a scenario where you maybe don't have the space to put them or keep them up, or maybe it's going to cramp your style for a bit. But listen, you want to make sure that they're okay. And maybe they're sick to the point where maybe they're to the point where they can't take care of themselves ever. And now you have to make a place for them in your life, and they have to be with you everywhere. That might cause a lot of issues with your husband, wife, or whoever you're living with, or whatever your scenario is, right? But you have to stop what you're doing. But when is it okay to be selfish, right? You still have to make a life for yourself, right? You still have to understand that there is that person, you're helping that person, but you're also deviating from your goals in your life too. So where do you find the balance? Where do you find the balance in helping, but also helping yourself? Because in the end of the day, we're not all going to be with each other forever, right? And now, God forbid, your parent passes away. You spent 20 years of your life dedicated to that. Now you're so off track. Maybe your relationship with whoever you're with is tarnished and everything's just up in the air. What do? You start then? No, you got to figure it out. You got to find a balance somehow, because you still have room to be selfish. I'm going to take care of my parent. I'm going to do this, but I still have to do my thing. I still have to make priority for my stuff too. They're not going to be there forever. And you're left alone, taking care of yourself. Because in the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves, right? We are. You cannot rely on anyone, regardless if they're your children, your spawn, and they're going to get older. Maybe they don't want to deal with you. Maybe they're an asshole. I don't know. It's possible, right? Your kid may hate you and not want to be there for you because maybe your kid's selfish. Who knows? I'm just saying, in the end of the day, we are literally stuck where we are with our own 2 feet, arms, legs, God willing that we have all these body parts. We're stuck to our own devices. We have to figure this out. So that's why the root of being selfish in that regard still holds true. Now, we could debate this all day. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are up in arms or disagree, but hear me out. It's not that I want to be selfish in the root of things. The betterment of self will better other people. If I am better, I can do more for others. I love my mother. I do. I love her. And I'll do whatever I can to help her. And believe me, I'm in a kind of a predicament with that too. My father is no longer here. And now it's just my mom. But she's getting older. I want to retire her and give her all the amenities that she wants, but I have to get myself right first. I have to establish myself first to do that. So she's really kind of alone in that way. She has to do whatever she can for herself. Even if I have to help her, I can't help her. I can't overextend myself in ways that I can't do that because I'm deviating from what I'm trying to do. The bigger picture for me, which also in turn will help her and everybody else. I'm not selfish in the way of giving. But when it comes to building or being better, you have to take that time for yourself because the only thing that is the only thing that's finite in this world is time. It's finite. It's gone. You can't get it back ever. It burns as we speak. I am speaking right now and I am burning time. I mean, I'm speaking with you all, which is excellent. And I'm putting this out into the world and it's going to be recorded and you're going to hear this. You can hear it as many times as you like and I could share it a gazillion times over. Beautiful. It's not a wasted time. It's not wasted time, but I'm using time. It's the asset that I never get back. We all have it for free. It's an asset that is free, but it is not something that you could just give away and it can be wasted at literally as we speak. Time is always running. It never stops. Imagine that. It never stops. But what do we do? Some people dedicate their whole lives to others and never do anything for themselves. And it's the ultimate sacrifice, right? But what, Mother Teresa's situation, listen, that was her calling, right? That was her calling, but that's different. That's way different. Giving yourself, but being of service. That was her job. That was her calling. And it's a beautiful thing. Unless you're trying to be like a missionary of some sort or do something in regards to where that's all you have to do is give. And it's not about riches. It's just about better. You're serving, whatever. That's fine. There are different examples of that. But if you're sliding yourself in your abilities to just help your friends and family, but you're never getting to where you need to be, and then you're going to be left in the streets possibly, or you can't have that happen. You can't let that happen. You have to take a little bit off for yourself. You could share bread and go hungry, but you will eventually die if you don't eat. You have to get a little bit for yourself. You have to. You have needs too. As a human being, you have needs. And others around you should respect that. Now, if you're giving and not getting respected for it, then it's not being well received. And that needs to stop. Don't be anybody's doormat either. I don't believe in that. Don't be submissive and be dominated. Not on a sexual level. I'm talking about in life. Know when to stop and stand up and not be okay with it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your mom, your siblings, cousin. I don't give a shit who it is. Your best friend. People should know when they're in. When you give and you're and somebody else is on the receiving end of receiving, they should also understand how that works and to not take more than you need. Because there are people that will overtake. There are people that will take all the time, or they'll always ask for a favor or always need something, but will never return the favor, not because you're expecting it, but they don't understand the protocol of, I should give too. If somebody's giving to me, give to somebody else. That's how the world becomes better and fruitful. But if you don't do any of those things, you don't have any of those practices, you don't have any of those beliefs, and you just believe in giving, you're going to be a doormat. So to be selfish, when is it okay to be selfish? It's okay to be selfish all the time. Always have a little bit for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be alone. You die alone. We don't die with anybody. We don't die in a big room together. We don't go together. It'd be cool if we do, if that were possible so we wouldn't feel alone, quote unquote. But that's not how it works. The world, life does not work that way. Wherever we go after that, I don't know, right? We don't, I personally don't know for sure. Whatever everybody's belief is, that's fine. I'm just saying, but right here in the physical world, you're alone. If everyone dies around you and you're the last person left, guess what? You have your own 2 arms, 2 legs, feet and hands. That's it. You have yourself. You have to, if you get lost in the woods on a trip, you're alone. You could just sit there and wait for somebody to help you, or you could help yourself. You can't worry about anything else but yourself right now. That's just part of life. And we just have to learn when to be selfish. When is it okay to be selfish? It's always a good time to be selfish a little bit. It's just the definition gets so mixed up because people talk about being selfish in a relationship, being selfish when they eat, or being selfish with money, like things that don't really matter. But when it comes to yourself and your growth and being who you are, if you're not 100%, you need to be selfish to get yourself to 100% because you're useless to anyone else if you are not. So take care of yourself. Self-love, self-preservation. Be good to yourself first, and then you could be good to others. That's all I have to say today. I love you all. Thank you for listening. And please reach out to me if you have any questions on the Meaningful Hearts podcast, Instagram, and at gmail.com. Love you guys. Bye.